With the debate on the 1984 riots having been reignited recently, a lot of the attention has actually turned in recent times. Following Rahul Gandhi's admission, of course, that some congressmen were probably involved, there has been a war of words between the Punjab Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal and the senior Congress leader Amrinder Singh. Amrinder Singh insists that Mr. Badal is in no position to demand an apology from the Congress Vice President. But it is his allegation that Mr. Badal actually hid in a farmhouse when Operation Blue Star was actually taking place that has created a huge controversy. Joining us now, the former Punjab Chief Minister and senior Congress leader Amrinder Singh. Sir, thank you very much for speaking to us. The central point of your allegation, sir, are you saying that Mr. Prakash Singh Badal knew about Operation Blue Star about to happen and actually did nothing about it? He had advance notice. He'd been told of this by Congress leaders at the centre.
Well, you know, I was not party to that discussion. If you recall, I had been party to discussions from 1981, I think, till 83. Then subsequently it was taken over by somebody else. But there was a meeting on the 26th of May in 1984 in which there were three people from the Akali Dal, Prakash Singh Badal, Gurcharan Singh Toda and Surjit Singh Barnala. And from the Congress side there were three senior ministers. And straight after this meeting, which took place here in Delhi, Mr. Gurcharan Singh Toda went back to the Golden Temple, and he was there when the action took place. Surjit Singh Barnala went back to Punjab, and Mr. Prakash Singh Badal went off to his skulking in his house in Bazpur in Uttarakhand.
No, but sir, why did he do that? The allegation and the manner in which you've been quoted, you seem to suggest that he wasn't ready to face up to what was about to happen in Amritsar.
Absolutely, that is my meaning. You know, there's nothing that you can prove, but the fact of the matter is that when there's a crisis, when you yourself have made a situation develop into what it had happened at that stage, and you had stood in front of the Akal Takht, and all you senior leaders of the Akal Takht in front of the Akali Dal had sworn before the Akal Takht that when the military would come there, they would be there. Why wasn't he there? I mean, if people say that nobody knew that Blue Star was coming on the night of the 5th, 6th of June, but certainly on the 1st of June, when the CRP and the Punjab police had surrounded Darbar Sahib, at that time he should have known. He should have known on the 2nd, he should have known on the 3rd. What made him stay in UP and what made him not go back to the Golden Temple?
Sir, but again, the central question needs to be asked. Do you therefore believe that he was tipped off on Operation Blue Star? He believed it was inevitable?
I think he must have known. I don't think the ministers would have tipped him off, certainly not, but certainly he would known that this was going to happen. And I think he decided to just chicken out. That's it.
So why does this debate have to happen now? Why is it that you're raising these points at this stage?
Vishnu, this is not now. This has been going on for 29 years. This is the 30th year going on. Every time there's a state assembly election or there is a parliamentary election, the Akali Dal themselves raise it. And they keep saying Congress must apologize. Congress must accept the blame. What about the RSS? What about the BJP? What about the people at the Agarwal Commission? Here it is, who have given 49 names and put 14 FIRs against RSS and BJP people. What about them? He conveniently forgets. So but he tries to incite Sikh opinion in Punjab just prior to an election to try and consolidate the Sikh vote. That's what the reason
I asked that question is because there is a sense after Rahul Gandhi's recent remarks on the Sikh riots, there is a sense that you may be trying to spread out the blame, that, you know, don't just look at what the Congress has done, the BJP has had a role, and look at Prakash Singh Badal himself and his actions during that particular time.
No, I think that is not my intention. My intention was very clear. Let's go back to Rahul Gandhi's statement. Rahul Gandhi said very clearly, in a very open-hearted manner, that I hear that there were the Sikh congressmen also involved in these Sikh riots. That's what he said. And he said it, and when he doesn't know, I mean, then everyone went down on him on a ton of brick there today, sitting in front of his house and doing dharna and all. What for? I mean, what did he know? He was a 13-year-old boy in school then. What does he know what the background of that was? I was very much in the game. So I said, this is not fair. I mean, if today Mr. Badal has run away from this action or done anything else which has led to Blue Star or subsequent to Blue Star, which has led to terrorism in Punjab where 35,000 people died, do I blame Sukhbir Badal for it? Sukhbir Badal is not to blame. He was a young man in college.
No, but
it
sir,
is
okay.
Badal who is responsible for his actions. It is I who am responsible for my actions. It is only a comment by Mr. Rahul Gandhi which he said this in I think in a completely open-hearted manner.
Sir, do you believe that there has been justice in the 84 anti-Sikh riots?
Justice? Has there been justice?
Sir, when it comes to Sajjan
What
Kumar,
are you asking me?
when it comes to Sajjan Kumar, the fact that he's been acquitted, is that something that you accept? What about the central issue, the role of Congress leaders?
Look, I gave names. Let me tell you how it all happened. 31st is riot started. First, I arrived here. Sardar Ravindra Singh was a friend of mine. He flew us in his plane, in his little plane of his own. My brother Malvinder Singh, my brother Randhir Singh, who's in the sports. We all went around these camps which were then collecting in the various gurdwaras of Delhi. And I talked to people. Some were in shock, they couldn't speak. Those who spoke, I asked them, who has done it? Do you know? Have you seen anybody? And the names that came out was Sajjan Kumar, Dharamdas Shastri, Arjun Das, Lalit Makin, and one more name. And these were the 5 names that I heard then. And then I said, anybody else? Then they named some people, Jain and some priests. I didn't know who these people were, so I couldn't comment on those. But these 5 I knew.
But sir, if Prakash Singh Badal today turns around and says that what is the problem with Rahul Gandhi naming these names, what's necessarily wrong with this? He is the Vice President of the Congress.
Because Rahul Gandhi
but surely accountability needs to stretch, even for things which have gone in the past. I mean, this is one of the biggest national events, one of the saddest chapters in our history. So if he's asked a question about that, why should Mr. Badal be faulted for asking that question?
No, it's not Mr. Badal faulted. Did you know how it was? He didn't ask that question. It was him who commented himself in television that there were some Congress people involved. And then before you give anybody a chance to clarify anything, the whole lot of them come down in Parliament, in Assembly, not in the Assembly, but in in the political field, and hold placards and all sorts of things. That is not the way to do it. I mean, here is somebody he's not hidden anything. He hasn't said no congressmen were involved. He has said, yes, I hear there were some congressmen involved. And I took it upon myself to say that, yes, these are the names I heard. And I've said it. I don't know whether he has heard these names or not, but certainly I have heard these names, and I said so.
Okay, one final question, sir. The recent controversy on the role of one British military advisor who'd come over here. Do you believe that some sort of an apology needs to come from us, from the Congress for that as well, seeking the assistance of others?
Well, I am not aware. You see, this is not, I was not in the picture, as I said. I was not aware of this. I have talked to many, I'm an ex-soldier. I have talked to many soldiers who have taken part in this or who have had something to do with it, and asked them exactly what happened, and I wanted to know from curiosity's sake and as a military historian what could have happened. And let us say that this was, as far as I know, was a totally Indian Army operation. I don't think that there was anything.
No, but Sir, William Hague, the British Foreign Secretary, has said that there was a military advisor who came over here. His advice may not necessarily have resulted in the military action. But the question, sir, it's on record in the British Parliament that there was one military advisor sent. He had recommended a certain type of military action involving helicopters and the like. What ultimately happened was a ground assault. That being said, should there be some sort of scrutiny on the need for the government at the centre, then the Congress, to have asked the British for their assistance or their advice?
I think that is for the government to announce whether there's anything such thing happened, and if so, what happened. It is the Ministry of Defence. It is the government that should make it stand clear on that issue. I don't want to comment on that, but I can only tell you that this was not planned as a special forces operation. This was a simple infantry operation carried out by an infantry division. And if the man came as a special forces advisor, it was whatever he advised was not accepted, obviously. So because this was done by 9 Division, which was here in Meerut.
But wasn't it questionable that we would ask for this assistance?
I cannot comment on something I don't know. I mean, but I don't think, at that stage. Let me I'll tell you one thing. If a special forces officer was called to advise, then you have special forces in India. We have the first special force. We have 9 special forces. We have 10 special forces, the commando battalions, which are there. What do you need to call a man from Britain for? But if he came,
sir, I
why
know
he
that,
came,
sir,
what
but
he came
it's
to
a
do,
matter
I
of
can't say.
record, sir, that this person was called. Which is why I'm asking
if
you,
he was
if
called,
we can
then
question
let-
the need. That's a separate issue. But so why don't you answer the question on whether you think it was
How
wrong?
can I answer? I was not I'm not the Chief of Army Staff. I don't know what has happened. I'm not the Defence Minister. It was for them to answer whether such a incident did take place. If so, why was he called? What was he asked to advise on? It was for him to say. How can I say? But till today, other than this controversy which has just risen in the last couple of days, since his statement by the British Foreign Secretary, nobody in the army, Indian Army, knew that anybody had been called. Now,
So
why they had been called, who called them, for what they were called, let the Ministry of Defence say so.
Okay, one final question, sir, just linking back to Mr. Badal. He says, because he's already reacted to some of the remarks which you'd made yesterday as well, I believe. He says that, look, he was jailed after Blue Star. You should be the last person questioning his courage or his convictions at the time. He spent time behind bars. So you're wrong in making these remarks.
I think Mr. Badal has a habit of always trying to make up stories. If I may be blunt in saying that he's always told lies on these issues. Let me tell you, he came back many days after Blue Star, probably 3 or 4 days after Blue Star. He came to Chandigarh. He had a press conference. In that press conference, he called on the Sikhs in the Indian Army to mutiny, which was a treasonable act. And after that, when he was asked by the press, where were you during the last few days? He said, I was in my farm in Bazpur. And having said that, he courted arrest and he was taken off to jail. He deserved to be in jail. And I think on these issues, if anybody is to blame for the pre-Blue Star and post-Blue Star operations, people may call Gurcharan Singh Toda. At least Gurcharan Singh Toda had the courage to go back from here and go and sit in the Golden Temple when that happened. Sardar Sujit Singh Barnala went back to Punjab. Why? What was the reason for this fellow to run away and go and skulk in Uttarakhand? And I think if you go into his role, someday that history will be written. He will be found as the man most responsible for this situation in Punjab, in which 35,000 innocent people were pulled out of buses and trains and killed. And he had never once spoken. Has he spoken once to apologize that 35,000 innocent Hindus were pulled out of buses and trains and killed? Did he apologize? No. He used to hunt with the hare and play, run with the hare and hunt with the hound. That was his policy all the time. Did he, at the time of terrorism in Punjab, did he ever stand up to these terrorists? Never.
So you've also raised the issue of BJP and RSS leaders involved in the riots. What is your essential argument as far as this alleged role is concerned?
Here it is. I have them with me. This came up in this commission. These cases were the recommendations of the Jane Agarwal Committee, which examined affidavits filed by riot victims before the various committees. Some of the prominent Delhi BJP RSS workers against whom cases have been registered are so and so and so and so so and so, and there are 49 of them, and there are 14 FIRs which were registered against BJP and RSS workers in 92 and 94.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to us with your views on why you believe that some of Mr. Badal's recent remarks are not correct at this juncture, and coming out with some fairly strong remarks on what you believe Mr. Badal, how he should be considered, given what you say are his actions at that time. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to us.
Thank you, Vishnu. Thank you.